Hello and welcome to the very first episode, and hopefully the first of many episodes of the Row U Football Show. I'm your host, Jake, and I'm joined today by Lawrence.
Hello.
So what we've got on the agenda today, we're just going to have a little bit of a discussion about the season so far, so everything that went well and everything that didn't go so well. And also we're going to be looking at some future things as well, like transfers, incomings, outgoings, and hopefully where we're going to end up next year. So, Lawrence, would you like to kick us off?
Okay, so we're just going to start with a brief overview of the season. So we finished 10th on 64 points, comparing that to last season's 6th on 74 points. But bear in mind that just after the pressing game, which is about six games ago before the end of the season, we were on an almost identical record to last season, which is the same on points and goals scored, I think, just slightly worse than the goals conceded. But given what we've been through in the season, it's quite remarkable, really.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you said that, it's what an achievement for Phillip Cocu that is. You know, to have the team that we have now, if you compare that to the team that we had last season, to sort of get to a similar point at that point in the season is fantastic.
Absolutely, and especially considering what we've been through, like hell of a season, really.
So thinking more on the good side of the season, what would you say are sort of a couple of the biggest moments of our season?
Well, I think you've got to start with the opening day against Huddersfield away. That was absolutely unbelievable. Remember, I was in the group chat going, "We're going to win this league, boys. It's written on the wall. It's done. No one is going to compete." And then, went a bit downhill from there. But also, I think, obviously the signing of Rooney was actually on the day. It was announced on the day after the Huddersfield game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that was like ultimate time to be Derby fan. Rooney's been announced, and we just won. It was brilliant. And what do you think? What do you think is the main highlights of the season?
There's been quite a lot of highlights. I think obviously after that day there was the incident, and hopefully we're going to sort of
we'll go over that.
Really talk about that as much today. But Chris Martin's goal against Leeds, it's become
absolute scenes.
It's become iconic in its own way, hasn't it? Out of the wilderness onto the score sheet. You see it when you see it on Twitter. It gives you goosebumps every time.
Yeah.
And just after that, there was the home game against Birmingham. And I remember when Martin scored, probably the worst goal I've ever seen him score. But it crept past Lee Camp and into the net. But the pandemonium in the stadium after that goal was brilliant.
The scenes in the East Stand.
Brilliant. Have you got any more sort of moments that you think were good just after that?
I mean, you got to think of the Sibley hat trick. I mean, straight back from 3 months out of football, no football at all for us, and then our youngest player just pops up with a hat trick out of nowhere. It was amazing, wasn't it?
It didn't feel real at all.
I was sure what that final shot. I was sure the kid was going to save it, and someone just crept under him. I'm so happy for him.
That's quality. It was quality. But speaking of the season as a whole, I think there were a couple of turning points. I think around Christmas. That last minute equaliser by Martin Waghorn away at Wigan. I mean, anyone that was there will know the scenes of that. Considering we'd spent the whole game, singing "Let's Pretend we scored a goal" and all that. we couldn't get near the net, and then in the last second we just happened to bang one in, and that sort of led on to the Charlton home game where Knight got that brace.
What a game that was.
That was huge, especially because Rudy was joining literally like a day later. That was absolutely massive in my eyes.
Mental, and also you can't not mention the Martin equaliser against Forest to deny them playoffs. It's absolutely amazing.
I don't think I've celebrated a goal in my house like that before.
Oh my god, that was mental. The scenes in my front room, let me tell you. But I think another one is probably the last game of the season, Birmingham away. How well we played in the last 10 minutes when the young lads came on. I think we've been pretty poor all game, haven't we? Martin Waghorn missing an absolute sitter yet again. But the young boys came out. I'm really happy for Whittaker as well, scoring that goal.
Oh yeah, that's going to be massive for him going
forward. I think next season he could have a big season. He could be a big player for us,
I hope so. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go out on loan, but I think Whittaker. I think he's got what it takes. I've seen him play a lot for the 23s.
I know he's underrated.
Yeah, he hit like 29 in 31 at one point in all competitions for the 23s. So with a record like that, you've got to have something about you.
Definitely. Okay, so well, we've talked about the good now. I think we should get into the bad, which
Yeah.
is slightly more prominent in our season. So we'll start off in chronological order. Lampard
Yeah.
taking his time a little bit at the
Yeah.
start, wasn't he?
That caused us so many issues, didn't it? And I think
Mm.
Lampard's late departure, it's quite funny actually. It's been in the news recently that he's upset that they've only got a month to prepare for next season,
Yeah,
when ironically he left only a month before the start of this season.
yeah.
But yeah, Cocu joining the pre-season training camp when they were already in America.
Oh, yeah, he literally flew out to America to meet the squad. It's mental, isn't it?
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then that led on to us. We got those last minute deals, didn't we? We
Yeah, the
brought in
loans, yeah.
Patterson and
Panic
Kane on
loans.
deadline
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
Like, Jesus, Russo only keeper. What are we going to do?
Yeah, it wasn't a good time, was it? And then we had, obviously we won at Huddersfield, and as we touched on probably before, we couldn't win away until that Swansea game. We genuinely couldn't buy a win. We came really close. We came so close, didn't we, at Barnsley? And
Yeah.
we were 2-1 up in like the 94th minute, and then they scored a late equaliser.
Mm.
But yeah,
Makes
guys,
you think how many points we did drop on unnecessarily. Like, I might remember at Stoke away, we were there. Martin
yeah,
Michael tries to lob Butland when he's on a hat trick. He
yeah,
just puts
last
it on
minute
corner. It's a 3-2 win. Another 2 points in the bag.
in the bag, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
I
we've also
suppose,
got. Sorry.
yeah. No, it's all good. It's all good.
Just moving on to slightly darker topics. We've got the incident,
Yeah.
of which we do not name.
I think that in itself has caused so many problems, not just for the team, but I think for the club as a whole. We've got this bit of a reputation now.
Yeah, it really tarnished us.
Yeah, you can't get on a social media post or if one of the people involved scores or does anything without a reference to the crash. And yeah, I think that started a bit of a downturn for a few months before Rooney joined and changed our season.
Yeah, definitely. I think without Rooney, we could have had a lot of fighting relegation. To be honest,
Yeah,
we were really in a bad place. But yeah, moving on. I've got the notes here. Just Dowell. What were you going to say about Dowell?
You know what? I actually feel pretty sorry for Kieran Dowell.
Yeah.
And you can see by the way he played at Wigan, obviously his hat trick against Hull in the 8-0 win was
I think he's definitely got talent.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think we just couldn't unlock it. I think that our style of play didn't really match him. He's more direct.
Yeah, his confidence seemed through the floor as well. He didn't seem to have anything left.
I think, like, even when we played so well at Huddersfield away, he still gave away a penalty. Like, that sort of set him up for a terrible half season for us. But we've also got the Bielik ACL injury in that under-23s game.
Yeah, I saw at the time there was a lot of criticism for Cocu for letting him play in that game, but I think he made the right decision because he wanted Bielik to come in and play at centre back, and Bielik was coming back from suspension after just coming back from injury, so he gave him a little bit of game time at centre back. And an ACL injury is one of those injuries that it's not one of those that you can prevent. It's not one of those you can do anything about. When it happens, it happens. And
it's just the way he landed. It's not like
Derby seems to just have so many of them. We had George Thorne, Craig Forsyth.
3 just for one player.
Yeah. Forsyth's been through the wars a bit.
Yeah, and still gets a 2-year deal.
What a legend!
He's got to have a statue, I reckon. He's up for his testimonial soon, isn't he? Surely.
Yeah, I think if he gets, I think he's on 7 years now, isn't he? If he
really?
gets
Wow.
one more year,
one more extension. That's it.
Yeah. I hope he does. Can you imagine that?
Imagine, mate. Oh. And then we've got Luton away as well. Pretty poor performance.
Yeah, that was a real dark time. I remember Rooney scored and everyone was very happy, weren't they? But
yeah,
the collapse in that game was awful. Max Lowe got sent off, didn't he, for laying hands on the ref? It was a pathetic red.
Yeah, he just touched the ref's arm, didn't he? Yeah.
It was never a red, but at the same time, that sort of
you can't do it.
I think it helped us because I think it kicked us back into life.
Yeah, it probably did.
Complacent after a couple of good results. But at the same time, it was a crushing defeat, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
really bad defeat.
Yeah, shouldn't. But that's one of those you've got to win if you want to get anywhere near the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%.
And next up, we've got the beer virus, of which we cannot officially name.
Yeah, we say
for legal reasons.
yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
some would say is Cocu's fault. If it was Lampard, if Lampard was there, I reckon it would, you know. But it did sort of mix up a little bit. Summer season. Not
Yeah,
really.
it's changed football as a whole, hasn't it?
Mm.
Football behind closed doors, all the players had all that time off. It's just one of those things that was obviously for football, it was unavoidable because it was a worldwide pandemic, apart from in Belarus, apparently. It had huge repercussions on all the teams. Liverpool came back from the break and they were nowhere near as good as they were before the break.
Yeah.
But I think, in a way, it actually helped us. I think we got 4 straight wins, didn't we?
Yeah, definitely.
After the break, and in a strange way, I think it may actually have helped us in the long run.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it might be a bit of a blessing in disguise for us.
Mm.
Well, I remember when it was running up to it, I was a bit annoyed. Like right when the Millwall game came, and it was sort of clear they're going to abandon the season. I
Yeah,
was a bit annoyed because we just hammered Blackburn 3-0. Sibley come and scored a screamer.
yeah,
It's like all going well for us, and then suddenly global pandemic. But we've really proved that we can break down those barriers and still play well after it.
yeah, yeah. I agree.
Final key bad point we've got is the wisdom stabbing, which you put a lot of work into raising the flag.
Yeah,
The flag.
yeah. I'm incredibly proud of everyone I worked with on that. That was a very, very good project to be a part of. But on Andre himself, it was awful, not just for him, because obviously being stabbed is probably not a great thing to happen to, but it was also awful for the club as well. It genuinely couldn't have come at a worse time.
Yeah.
We had a run of 4 awful games, didn't we? What was it, like Brentford, West Brom, Forest, Leeds, something along those lines.
Yeah.
And it couldn't have come at a worse time. And I felt a little bit for George Evans having to deputise for him in a couple of those games as well, because Andre had been immense before that. He genuinely was immense at the back, and him and Clark looked like they'd formed a really good partnership.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Evans though, because I think he didn't play too badly. It's just I think positionally he's not that great at centre back. I think he could maybe like with a bit of training.
Yeah.
But he's just I think on the ball he's a very good player. But I think he lacks in that position.
I think he plays a very strange role where he's not quite defensive enough for centre back, but he's too defensive to play defensive mid. And I think he's sort of like a weird blend in the middle, isn't he? He reminds me a little bit of John Stones.
Yeah.
Without the horrific errors every 10 minutes.
So you're saying he's better than John Stones?
I probably wouldn't go that far.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll move on to the manager performance. What do you think of Cocu's first season in charge of the Rams?
Well, Phillip Cocu, I think, has done an absolutely brilliant job in charge of us. He's with what he was given, with what he's been through. And we've got a couple of things down here. He was dealt arguably the worst hand in football history, in my opinion. Everything that's happened, we read out all those bad things that happened.
Yeah.
He had no pre-season. He didn't get to sign many of his own players. The one player he did sign did his ACL.
Yeah. £10 million signing.
Yeah, literally.
Season.
We had to get some last-minute loans that he clearly didn't want.
Yeah, definitely.
And then obviously there was the incident with Keogh, Lawrence, and Bennett.
Yeah.
And one thing I forgot as well, another one of the bad things, was the comments Mason Bennett made as well. I completely forgot about that.
Oh yeah, when he drove past Pride Park, was that?
Yeah.
I thought he was one of our own song last season. Yeah, I think he'll be out the door this summer. He's out of contract, isn't he? I think this year.
I don't think he is. I think he's got a year left.
Oh, okay.
I think Millwall have an option to buy him.
So they'll take him. He's definitely not. He's definitely not a Cocu type player. Put it that way. But I think just going back to the injury crisis, I think we've had, and the crisis in general. I think we've actually had more club announcements, like the corner flag tweets, than we have signings this season. So sums up really, doesn't it? But we'll just go on to how well he's done with the young players.
Oh yeah, the job he's done with those young players is unbelievable. I mean, think of the players that have come through. Max Bird looks like a world beater already. You've got
Captain.
Sibley. Yeah,
He's already a captain. He's
already
19.
our captain. Louis Sibley, he scored 5 goals, obviously
Yeah,
including that hat
since
trick.
March.
Bagged
Yeah.
a couple of assists as well, which
Yeah.
for a player that had only made 1 league start before, the virus,
Yeah.
that is some going.
Yeah. Absolutely. And even players that haven't made that much of an impact, like Buchanan, I think, have a good future ahead of them. I think he could definitely rival Max Lowe at left back.
Yeah, definitely. I
In a
think he's
couple of
still
years.
good whenever he's played. And a
Yeah.
player that I don't think gets anywhere enough recognition as he should, Jason Knight.
Yeah.
6 goals, isn't it, this season?
Yeah.
6 goals for, a young player. That is a brilliant return for the season. And
Yeah.
he's had to play out of position pretty much all season
He's
because,
out the wing, yeah.
we've got pretty much no wingers aside from Joseph soon. And,
He's below a midfielder on the
yeah.
wing.
And to sort of deputise and fill it in that position for half a season and not look out of place has been really good for him.
Absolutely. And I think he's not really the most technical. He's not the most flashy player. He's not like a Sibley, but he works really hard. That's what I like about him. He's sort of like a Bryson in that sense.
Yeah.
He goes up and down the pitch.
I think he is. You can tell he puts his heart into it. And what I love about him the most is the emotion that comes out when he scores.
Yeah.
Even in the behind closed door games, you could see how much it
Yeah.
means to him every time he puts it in the net.
Yeah.
And especially for a young player, a player that's come through our academy, to have that, I think is brilliant.
Yeah, I'm saying he's not even been at Derby that long. He's been in like 3 years, and he's
It's only a
that much
few
passion
years.
for the club. Yeah. And I think should we move on to something a bit more down again?
Yeah.
Chris Martin, no
Chris
longer
Martin.
a Derby player.
I know it's genuinely devastating, and you could see on social media, on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, you could see how much he meant to people.
Yeah.
And scored around 25 goals in 13-14. Bagged around 20 the season after. Got probably 15-16 the season after, I think.
I think he was our top scorer for 3 years in a row, wasn't
he? Yeah, he was, and now he's our top scorer again.
Yeah.
For a player to play that well under so many different managers as well, because you think of the changes he's been under at Derby. When Rowett loaned him out last season, I thought it was the final. No, sorry, what am I on about? Lampard loaned him out last season.
Yeah.
Rowett loaned him out the season before. I thought it was the final nail in the coffin for him.
Yeah.
I didn't think we'd ever see him play in a Derby shirt again. But after that Leeds game, he's been brilliant.
Yeah. It was when he scored. Oh, that was unbelievable, wasn't it? Him coming back. But he's sort of somewhat of a club legend in recent times, isn't he?
Yeah, I know.
Since 2012, did he sign on loan?
Yeah, he signed on loan in January.
Yeah, crazy.
January 2015, I think. Maybe. Yeah.
So maybe if he did get his 2-year deal, he would have had a testimonial.
Yeah, he probably would actually.
Yeah.
And also Chris Martin, he was a really big player for us, not just in his goals, but in his assists and link-up play too. And I think that's going to be something that we're going to really, really struggle to replace. 12 goals, 6 assists. Yeah.
It's rare to find a player like that because, I mean, we said this the other day, didn't we? He's pretty much like a midfielder. Like he's got the attributes of a midfielder, but he's playing up front. And he's got the finishing of a striker. It's really rare to find a player of that quality in the Championship, especially.
Yeah. He's a good all-round forward. I think that's why he's been so successful for us for so long. They obviously had that horrible illness, but since he's come back, whenever he's been on full fitness for us, he's always been brilliant.
Yeah,
I think that says a lot about him, and I think whichever club ends up getting him is going to get a really good player. And I think for us to replace him is also going to be really challenging.
Where do you think he might end up? Because you're saying you think he could maybe go to Premier League team?
Yeah, without sounding completely deluded and off my head. I wouldn't be massively surprised if he ended up either, top end Championship team that like to keep the ball. If it's a footballing team, I don't know why they wouldn't want Chris Martin unless they're trying to, get in behind and have pacey forwards, because that's obviously not his game. But think about it. If you're a low end Premier League club and you've just gone up and there's a striker available on a free that's got 90 plus goals in the Championship,
I mean, even if he's not going to start, he's still a good player to have in the squad.
Yeah, exactly. He'll make an impact off the bench when he comes on. His link-up play is brilliant. And, if you've got a couple of, creative attacking players, if you've got him up front with them, he'll create chances. If they give him the ball, they know they're going to get it back in a good area to score.
Sorry.
No, go on, go for it.
I would say it's almost like having a playmaker up front, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that would be really useful. Look at David McGoldrick at Sheffield United this year. I think he's only scored a couple of goals, and they all came in the last couple of games.
Yeah.
But throughout the year, his link-up play has been so crucial for the way they've played. And you look at him statistically, and you think, oh, he's not that great. He's only scored like 2 goals. But then you look at the impact that he's had on the team, and I think that's what Chris Martin could bring to a team if he signs for them.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's move on to the potential transfers we could look at this summer. You've got a few notes. Just go through them.
So I've sort of broken it down into the positions I think we need to, sign players in the most. So obviously we need a goalkeeper. I think that's very obvious for everyone to see. Yeah, as much as I like Kelleros, I think he's a really nice guy. I think he's a really good shot stopper, but what he can't do is command his area. And I think a goalkeeper that can't command his area doesn't inspire any confidence with his defenders. And so if the defenders aren't confident, the whole defense is going to look a little bit disjointed.
Yeah.
So in the goalkeeper area, these aren't really people I've identified, but more people that we've been linked with. But I've done a little bit of research on each one. So one that we were linked with a little while ago, I've seen it a little bit on Twitter as well, is a guy called Warner Hahn, I'm not quite sure how you say it. But he's a 28-year-old goalkeeper who's literally just left Heerenveen. So he was playing in the Eredivisie, the Dutch Premier Division. Have you seen anything of him?
I've not seen anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. So I'll give you a little bit of a run through. So he doesn't look bad. That's what I'll say. I don't think he looks bad. Yeah, I don't think he looks fantastic either. I think he would be an upgrade on Keller, but I don't know how much of an upgrade he'd be. He wants to move abroad, which is obviously what brought all the links with us and other clubs in the Championship. At the same time, he's 28. He's pretty much only just established himself in the Heerenveen first team over the last 2 seasons. So he's sort of in the similar boat to how Keller is at Derby. But he is available on a free. And, in the Eredivisie, the average wage for a goalkeeper is around 6 or 7 grand a week.
Wow.
Yeah, which is, a stark contrast to how it is over here. So if we got him on a reduced deal, I don't see why it wouldn't be worth a gamble.
Well, we only got Keller at the minute, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got
Carson's coming back, but I don't think he'll be staying around.
Henry Ravas as well, haven't we?
Oh yeah. Is Mitchell still under contract? Yeah,
I think he is. I think he is, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him leave because he's 25.
He's like 25 now, isn't he?
Yeah. But speaking of 25-year-olds, is the goalkeeper that a lot of people have linked us with. It's Charlton's Player of the Year, Dylan Phillips. Now, have you seen Dylan play at all?
Well, not really. I've seen them play, not him.
So he's won Charlton's Player of the Year. He got 9 clean sheets this season, which in a pretty abysmal Charlton team isn't a bad record at all. A couple of places have linked us with him. Sky Sports is a really big one that said we were interested in possibly making a move. So that makes me believe it. Derby, Blackburn, Cardiff, Borough and Huddersfield are the main teams that are after him. So, with Cardiff, we've got another team that are quite a, promotion pushing outfit that are trying to sign him. So that's, probably not a good thing. However, if, you don't know what's going to happen in this transfer window. He's valued at 540 grand. He's only got a year left on his deal. He won't sign a new deal, which makes me think that he's on his way out.
Yeah.
He could end up at any of these clubs, but personally, I hope he ends up at Derby because I think he looks like a fantastic player.
Could get him on the cheap as well if he's only got 1 year on his contract as well.
Yeah, definitely. Now, moving on to sort of the defenders, here's a player that we all know about, Matt Clark. What do you think of Matt Clark's chances of coming back to Derby?
Very slim. I'd love to have him. I think he's brilliant. Yeah. I vote for him as my player of the year.
Yeah.
But I think it's very unlikely. I think he'll go on loan again to a low-end Premier League team. I think he'll go back to the Championship.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you on that one. He's a fantastic player, isn't he? We've seen it throughout the season. He's comfortable on the ball. I love the way when a striker closes him down, he'll always do that little feint and then Cruyff turn away. I really like that. And he's a strong defender as well. He's not rapid, but he is quick enough. He's good in the air.
What we need for our style of play.
Yeah, quite literally, he fits the
play
style
the ball.
Well.
He's good on the ball. He can win a header.
Yeah,
he's just a very solid option in the Championship, I think.
He is. But thankfully, if we don't get Clark, we have got another man in, Mike Tawerik. Have you seen anything of Mike?
Not a lot, but I know you've got some stats to tell me.
Well, the thing is with Tawerik is that he's played in the Eredivisie, which was cut short, so obviously the stats are going to be a little bit skewed because he's not played a full season. But he's played 23 games of the available games. What I like about him is how his stats marry up quite well with Matt Clark's.
Right.
So all his stats are very similar to Matt Clark's. He does 1.3 tackles per 90. Clark's got a very similar number, 1.5 interceptions. Clark's got exactly the same number. His pass completion is 87.5%. And he averages 52 passes per 90 compared to Clark's 58.
Wow.
And apparently he's valued at about 2.5 million. So to get him on a free transfer, I think it's a brilliant deal.
And he's not the youngest, but 28. He's still got a good 3 or 4 years at least.
He's got a lot of years left in him, I think. And if speaking hypothetically here, if we did get promoted to the Premier League next season, and he can perform comfortably in that role, I'd back him to play in the Premier League. Obviously, we haven't seen him play for Derby yet, but at the same time, I think from what I've seen, he looks like he's got what it takes to excel in the Prem.
Yeah.
And also, moving on to wide players. So obviously, as we mentioned before, Jason Knight's had to play out wide for the majority of the season. And, he's not really a right winger. He's not a wide player at all. And I think that we could really benefit from signing a couple of fast, creative wingers because we don't have a lot of pace in our team. And that sort of led me to this first option, Jordan Ibe. What are your thoughts on bringing Jordan Ibe back to Pride Park?
Well, he's available on a free. I think it'd be a very solid option. It's just, I think his wages will be a bit too much for us.
Yeah.
I think he is the sort of player that we need. Could really lack in creativity out wide. But I just don't think, it doesn't seem likely to me, to be honest.
Yeah. I can see where you're coming from with that. But, I'm just thinking from his personal perspective. If you're a player that's been released by a team that's been relegated, he's barely played all season, I'd want to be going to the Championship, especially at his age. I'd be wanting to go to the Championship and prove myself.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to take a massive pay packet. He's reportedly on like 40, 50 grand a week at Bournemouth, which for a player that isn't playing is, astronomical money.
Yeah.
And if he can recreate anything like the form he had for us before, which I think is why everyone's looking at him and thinking what a great option, because for that half a season he was unplayable.
He was brilliant, wasn't he?
Our season fell apart when he left.
Yeah.
And I think people look back on that and go, that's what we need.
Yeah.
If he can play like that, and if he's got his head screwed on and wants to play for Derby and wants to put a shift in for the team, I would quite happily take Jordan Ibe back.
Yeah.
But if he's going to ask for ridiculous wages, then, I don't think it would be a worthy signing.
Yeah, and there is that possible argument to say he didn't really get on that well at Bournemouth with Eddie Howe. Could that happen again at Derby? You never know. Some players, they don't really get on well with certain managers.
Yeah. There's a lot of players that get branded with sort of the bad attitude brush. And I think in this case, Ibe's been given it. He hasn't been playing. He's quite an easy target to hit with it. I saw some stuff with him recently. He did a couple of interviews and he said, he was having problems at Bournemouth. He just didn't feel valued. He didn't feel part of the team. And if that's the case, if we brought him in, if we made him feel like, a key member of the team,
which he would be.
He would be. He'd be one of our better players. And, if we made him feel welcome, I think he could perform. And I hope he can perform if we do sign him.
I agree. And moving on to our last midfielder /wide midfielder, Ferdy Kadioglu.
The player that literally won't go away.
Yeah, it wasn't the first rumor.
It's at the
It was
start.
pre-season.
Yeah.
We got linked with him, and it just keeps coming back. And what do you think? Is it going to happen?
I've seen a lot of tweets by Turkish media. I've also watched quite a few videos of him playing. Obviously, he's been linked with us, so I wanted to have a little bit of a scout. He looks very, very talented on the ball, but his final products and his end products, I don't think are that great.
Right.
For them to be commanding a fee of near £10 million
Yeah.
for a player that has you can count his goals and assists on one hand. I think that'd be a bizarre signing for us to make. But then at the same time, he's quick. He makes things happen. He's exciting. He's similar to Ibe in that sort of sense. So I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I haven't really looked into him as much as you, but I do feel like when we've got he's a central midfielder, isn't he? Like attacking mid.
He's a winger.
He's a winger, is he?
He can play in the middle as well, though. So he can play anywhere across sort of that front three.
Okay. Well, I think he's a good player, but I think for that fee, I don't think we really have the funds to afford him, to be honest.
It's a lot of money.
He's not really proved himself, so
yeah,
I think there's better options out there.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with you there. And also, he's coming from Fenerbahce. It's Cocu's old team. Apparently, Cocu and the board don't get on very well.
Right.
So why would they cut us a deal when they don't like the man they'd be selling it to?
Yeah.
So I think that pretty much rules that one out of the question.
Yeah.
But sort of the last few players to sort of speak about are strikers. Obviously, Chris Martin's gone, and as much as that upsets me, we've got to look forward and look at who we're going to have in the future. There's quite a lot of strikers out there that play a similar role to Chris Martin. Obviously, not the same role, but they'll play a role that could be adapted, or we could adapt our style of play to suit them.
Yeah.
And sort of the key two that have been identified and have been linked with us recently. So the Kiefer Moore. Kiefer Moore's a striker from Wigan. He's got 10 goals this season. Also grabbed 5 assists, which is, it's decent for a team that, got relegated against, logic. But it's not bad for a team that struggled for a lot of the season. There's also Mirko Maric. So Mirko Maric is from a Croatian team called Osijek. If I said that wrong, I apologize. He's bagged 20 goals this season. He's bagged 5 assists this season. And there's been a lot of videos of him circulating around on social media. And he looks the real deal. He's tall, he's quick. His link-up play is really good. There's a really, really good scout report by a place called Total Football Analysis. And they've gone really in depth on his strengths, his weaknesses, and his link-up play was sort of the big strength. And that's what I class as Chris Martin's big strength.
Yeah.
So if we wanted a like-for-like swap, it'd be him. However, for both of them, so Mirko Maric is valued at 2.8 million. Rangers are apparently in for him as well. So I'd assume we'd have to pay quite a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
I think that could be a bit of a stumbling block.
Yeah.
Kiefer Moore's valued at 1.8 million, but at the same time, Wigan are having a little bit of a crisis right now.
Yeah.
So if I remember rightly, I think it's Wigan, where all of their players will be available on a free or something. So they're rushing to get their lawyers to try and make it so players have to actually be bought with a proper transfer rather than, a free transfer. But he'd probably end up costing a few million as well, because there's a lot of teams after Wigan's players.
Yeah.
You saw how they played at the end of the season.
Yeah, they finished mid-table, top half, didn't they?
Yeah.
If it weren't for that points deduction, so they're definitely not a League One quality.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I think they're a good team. Which one of those strikers would you say we should go to if we wanted a direct Chris Martin replacement?
Well, the Mirko Maric that you've just referenced seems like a good player based on his stats, but it is in a league that I know very little about. I've not really seen him play.
Yeah.
Kiefer Moore has proved himself in the Championship, but he is 28. So do you want to go for youth or sort of proven talent? I suppose what our budget is, I don't really know.
I don't think anyone does do that at the minute.
Yeah, but it depends whether. Sorry, come on.
No, I think that's the big problem, isn't it? Is that we don't really know where we stand financially. There's a lot of people that say we have no money. There's a lot of people that say we have a lot of money. And I think until the EFL finish off, what charge they're going to give us, I don't think we'll know what sort of players are going to be signing. Because obviously, if we get like a big 12-point deduction, big players aren't going to want to sign for us. Maric isn't going to want to sign for a team that can only finish mid-table. That's like their top target. So yeah, my worry with Kiefer Moore is that this season's his top scoring season in the Championship.
Yeah.
And,
a bit like Wagon, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was 28 when we signed him.
Yeah, it does feel like a little bit of a Wagon sign. He's had a good season. So we're going to try and bring him in. I don't know. I don't know whether I'd take him or not. If we did get him, I'd be 100% behind him and hope he does well. Yeah. But would I rush to buy him? I don't think I would. Just a little quick thing on one more striker. So there's Macaulay Bonne from Charlton. He's a little bit of a different type of striker. He's still quite tall. He's over 6 foot, but he's more pace. He's not much of a hold-up player, as much as the other two are. So I think he'd be a different type of option. Last season, he scored 11 goals for Charlton, who obviously aren't very good. Got 2 assists as well, and he's only valued at around 600 grand. So if we could get him in a cut price deal, he could be a great deal too.
Yeah, but do we need another pace merchant? Because we've got Marriott.
We do, yeah. That was my thought as well, but it depends what he brings. I don't know masses about him.
Yeah.
I remember him playing against us. I don't think he was that impressive when he played against us. But then, people have games like that, don't they? I'm sure a lot of our good players
very
have
true.
4 games against other teams, and their fans will think they're not that great. One last thing before we do finish: players leaving. What players do you think are most likely to leave the club?
Well, there are a few names that are sort of outliers in the squad. You look at the likes of Scott Malone, probably 4th choice left back at the minute.
Yeah,
I'd put him. I can't see him staying. I think Mason Bennett, he's not going to stay because he's everyone hates him for a start. And Florian Jozefzoon, I mean, his Derby career has been shambolic, to say the least.
Started, did it?
No,
Never
really.
ever started.
What do you reckon?
I'd agree with that. I wouldn't be surprised to see 2 of the left backs go, to be honest. Whether that be, Forsyth signed a 2-year deal, so I wouldn't be surprised to see, maybe even Max Lowe's going. He's barely featured. He's featured in 6 of the last 17 games at Derby, and I think for a player that's 23, he's not in his prime, but he's getting close to his prime.
Yeah.
I think he'll be wanting to move on if he's not going to be involved in the first team.
Okay.
A couple of other players that might go, maybe even Tom Lawrence. He's a controversial character, but he scores goals, and teams will be willing to pay money for players that score goals. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Lawrence went. Maybe not for the fee that we paid for him, but if he did go, that would then open the door for more signings.
Yeah, true.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. I agree with the ones that you said. I think you've brought up all
the obvious.
The obvious ones that are going to end up going.
All right, so I think on that is a good place to end the podcast. Thank you very much for listening.
So thank you very much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please like, subscribe, follow, whatever you're listening on. If you've got this far, thank you very much. Round of applause.
You're a real one.
You're a legend. Hopefully, if you did enjoy it, please leave a comment down below or give us a message. Obviously, most of you will probably know this from Twitter or Instagram. So just ping us a message if you want to hear us talk about anything specific in the next episode, or you want to tell us that it was terrible. Anything like that, just let us know.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
See you.